When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Just 2 weeks ago, a Quebec man was found guilty of defrauding an elderly man out of most of his life savings. The man found guilty was not an online scammer or a robber, but a bank employee. His entire life savings, the elderly man's entirely life savings, drained, although he never authorized the employee to manage his assets for his own personal use. More than $300,000 was taken from that elderly man's life savings. What did the bank employee use the money for? Used it to do things like purchase land in Ecuador and place his children in private schools. A story like this calls into question the very notion of management of assets, especially for the elderly. Who should be making those financial decisions? And how can we be sure we can trust those who make those decisions? Let's go now to Lara Aspri, a notary at Aspri, Notaires. Lara, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
So was there, I hear this story, and again, a Quebec court finding this bank employee guilty of defrauding this elderly man of over $300,000. I saw this story and I said to myself, well, how do you guard against that? So let me ask you, Lara, to start this off. Mm-hmm. When you see the story, you heard this story. Yes. What can be done to guard against a situation like this where a bank employee takes advantage of a senior?
The thing is, there's not too much that could be done, okay? The senior gave a power of attorney. Obviously, in any power of attorney, I have never seen someone give the power to someone else to use it for their own benefit. That's a conflict of interest. So that should not have happened to begin with, okay? The thing is, the senior himself, okay, it's not his fault, obviously, but you have to still look after your assets. Even if you're giving a power of attorney to someone that you trust, you should still check your statements, ask questions. You start seeing something's a little off, right away cancel it. Go to the bank and say, look, I'm canceling the power of attorney. Those are the steps that the person could take. So it's being aware of your assets and being aware of what's being done with your assets, even though you gave power of attorney to someone.
Yeah, so let's get into that whole notion of power of attorney, right? Because it was in 2015 that the elderly man in this instance gave the bank employee full control of his finances. This was before a notary, right? So is this, I guess, did all the safeguards, maybe there wasn't family members and that kind of thing. And maybe, do you feel maybe in this instance the notary was at fault, for not maybe taking a closer look at this situation?
The thing is, the notary, when someone comes to us, okay, they come to our office, we usually do it in 2 interviews, okay? Yeah. First interview, we speak to the person that wants to give the power of attorney. So in this case would have been the elderly man. We make sure the person reasons. Sir, are you aware that by doing such and such a thing, this could happen? All right. Then you ask questions. Who are you giving the power of attorney to? Oh, I'm giving it to my banker. How well do you know him? Mm-hmm. Do you trust him? Does this person make decisions based on what you would want them to make decisions? So it's really more the interview between the person giving the power of attorney and the notary. Now, if the notary has absolutely no doubt that this person understands what he's doing, he understands the implications, there's nothing more the notary could do in that case. So I'm verifying the capacity of the person reasons. I have no doubt, sometimes depending on certain aspects, you might want to ask a medical note as well as a notary. You'll ask the person, well, you know what, just, to be safe on everything, go talk to your doctor, have him write me a note that you reason, you have the full capacity to make decisions, sign legal documents, understand the consequence of what you're signing. And then the notary does the rest in the interview. But more than that, there's not much more the notary could have done. in this particular case.
Let me ask you this, because I know the senior here was in poor health, was living at a CHSLD. Do you think that people sometimes delay these decisions too late, and they, and maybe they still have their mental capacities and maybe they're still aware of things, but they wait a little bit too late, so they're forced into a position where they have to make maybe decisions they wouldn't have made if they took care of this 10 years prior?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, a lot of times you also get external pressure. Well, sir, you have to sign this, and sir, you have to do this, and you have to make this decision. And they get nervous, So, of course, it's obviously if you do it when you're fully aware of everything, you're in good health, you're able to sit and really think things through, you may not have picked that same person to handle your affairs for you.
We're with Lara Aspri, notary at Aspri Notaire. Lara, let's talk about how people should handle this situation where you're thinking about giving someone power of attorney and handing over those types of decisions. What should everyone know about this? What's your advice to seniors who are getting up there in age on how to handle this situation?
Be aware of your assets. Okay, so what I would do, is before you even think of giving power of attorney, think of, do I need this? Am I able myself to go to the bank? Am I able to subscribe myself to an online banking thing rather than give power of attorney to someone else? Okay, so the first question is, do I really need this? Because when I give power of attorney, I'm basically giving them the full powers to handle certain aspects, because it's not necessarily a general power of attorney that I'm giving, okay? Second thing is really be aware of my assets. I should be aware of where I have my bank accounts, how much money I have in it, in each account. Where else do I have my assets? And keep a close look. So even if I am giving the power to someone, I still should have a say in it. I still should be able to look at things and question, hey, why is $30,000 missing from my account? Where did it go? So it's a matter of being aware of what I have and the powers I'm giving to someone. And very important, name someone you trust. Don't name a friend that you see once a year. Name someone you trust. If you have a spouse, if you have children, if you have a close friends that you've had for 50 years, think of naming someone you trust and someone who is not, opportunistic maybe? Someone who's not going to just, if someone you're going to name has money problems and is in desperate need of money, and that will cloud his judgment. And that may make you more susceptible to having some money missing, So just be aware of who you're naming as well.
And Lara, of course, this situation here, it's not lost on me that perhaps this person didn't have any of those things, didn't have the family around him, was alone, basically alone. And then you think about the protections for someone who's just simply alone and has no one else they can trust.
Absolutely.
Lara, listen, thanks for taking the time this morning to discuss this with our listeners. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is Lara Aspri, a notary at Aspri Notaire.